Welcome back everyone, and it's time to go balls deep. And in today's video, we'll be explaining everything there is to know about Asta's swords and every ability he has when he wields them. I've discovered a new power Asta will receive from Yami after taking on his katana, which I'll explain at the end of the video. Asta's big black swords is not the only thing that gives him power and, you know, wins over the harem he has. A harem we wish we all had, in fact.
So true.
But what makes him completely OP are the skills he learned wielding the big black swords. These big black swords contain special elements and are unique in their own way. And if you degenerates are thinking anything besides his swords, then you need yourself checked out.
You're ugly, you're disgusting, I'm gonna kill you, give me $200.
And because this is anime balls deep, I'll also give lore hidden regarding the swords, such as their conceptual design and how it was created through Tabata being inspired from real life stories. You know, I have to go that extra mile just for you. But in return, I need you guys to smash that like button, hit the notification bell, and I have a favor to ask of you. Please check out my other series where we react to funny videos. Please just give it a try. The link will be in the pinned comment.
So just do it!
Before I dive deeper, I have something special to say to you.
It's free real estate.
You're amazing.
NANI?
And since you're amazing, I know you can help Ultra Munch, the sponsor of this video.
Of course!
Ultra Munch needs you to join their Discord server. Yes, you.
You serious?
Of course I'm goddamn serious, boy! Ultra Munch is a website that is your one-stop shop for anime, gaming, and Japanese news.
Wow.
There is a ton of quizzes and articles to read that you will find interesting on a daily basis.
Wow.
For example, did you know that one of the most goated anime, Vinland Saga Season 2, has been announced?
No way!
Well, that's because you're not using Ultra Munch that will keep you up to date easily on these things.
Yes!
Now, if you're ancient, they also have a Facebook page with over 500,000 users. But if you're not ancient, there is a Discord server that you can join that will be a great community for you to talk about anime and make new friends on a daily basis. The link will be in the pinned comment and description. Please help them by joining. So to start off, we'll begin by discussing the very first sword Asta received, the Demon Slayer sword, which he received in the first chapter. This sword opened up a whole new world to Asta by giving him the tools needed to achieve his dream of Wizard King. Asta didn't have a clue how to wield it properly since he had no training at this point, but it was enough to get the attention of a squad captain. Yami, of course, the man we all simp for, especially me, you know. You guys know me by now, right? I'm kidding.
No, you ain't.
Asta unlocked anti-magic due to the 5-leaf grimoire, changing its properties due to his brother Liebe wishing for 15 years whilst inside the grimoire. Liebe hoped for revenge upon all the devils, including the 3 kings of hell, as Lucifer took their mother Lucita away. The grimoire ended up choosing Asta due to him being born with no mana, so the fates aligned for all of them to reunite and enact a righteous plan to get rid of tyranny in the world. Asta and Liebe are the antithesis to the entire series of enemies that represent what is evil. The Demon Slayer sword at its base form allows Asta to slice through and repel just about any and all magical spells, with the exception of poison and curse magic. It sounds pretty simple, right? Sounds more like a tool than magic, to be honest, but it's this simplicity that makes it such a good weapon for Asta, as his training pre-magic was super effective to allow him to wield it properly. If he was given a, imagine a super complicated magic weapon, the show would have ended at episode 1, fam. Asta and this sword are a match made in heaven, because of course my man is thick and swole. Asta was doing 10,000 push-ups and sit-ups like it's nothing, bruh. At 16 years old, he's already ranked the 2nd strongest person physically in the Clover Kingdom, just behind Yami. No one else could even hope to wield this thing. Remember when Julius Novachrono, the Wizard King, couldn't even lift the sword properly because it absorbed his magic? Licht is an exceptional case to lift it since he has so much much mana, and it's his original magic. You have to get into your head that everybody can wield the Demon Slayer's sword if they try to, be it the Wizard King or a commoner. However, the nature of this weapon changed once Leibe's magic manifested in the grimoire, where all the weapons already in the grimoire gained this property. The sword drains a high amount of magic and mana around it through physical contact. Elves are naturally blessed with mana, and Licht had the highest amount of it. That's why he can withstand the toll of wielding a demon sword even after it changed from its original light magic. Now, because Asta has no magic, he is completely invisible to magic detection. Like, let's say you could only see people through detecting their magic. Asta pretty much wouldn't exist to you. The only way to see him coming is to either be Julius in his prime or master how to use Ki, which, as far as we know, currently Asta, Yami, and Veto are the only ones who have done this. Yami stated that using Ki is a practice from his homeland of the Rising Sun, which is located on another continent from the four kingdoms we know. This Ki ability is part of culture over there, but not where they are currently, so Asta has an insane advantage over everyone. His opponents expect him to have absolutely no magic whatsoever, which, I mean, he doesn't, but his swords are completely unexpected to the usual mage or any mage who hasn't heard of him or faced them in battle, no matter how average they are or not.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Just wanted to jump in for a fun fact. The Demon Slayer sword is almost 100% confirmed to be a reference to the sword from Berserk, the Dragon Slayer. And we know this for a fact because Tabata is super duper inspired by Miura's work and has referenced it numerous times in both small and huge ways, from the scenery and aesthetics to full-on characters and plot twists. So it's no surprise that the main character's first weapon is inspired by Guts and his thick, heavy, and massive heap of raw iron. Also, the three swords Asta has in the beginning of the series are a clear inspiration from swords and rock located in Norway. They commemorate the historic battle of Hafersfjord. I'm so sorry if I butchered that, I know I did. Anyway, which by tradition took place there in year 872, when King Harald whatever his name is, gathered all of Norway under one crown. The largest sword represents the victorious Harald, and the two smaller swords represent the defeated petty kings. The monument also represents peace, since the swords are planted into solid rock, so they may never be removed. This is a link to Asta's character, as he wants to create peace between races and lands while achieving his goal of being the Wizard King. Okie dokie, I'll hand the video back to Odal-sama now. Oh shoot! I didn't know I was still recording. Oh jeez, oh crap.
Thank you, Kevin. I'll begin with explaining the rest of his capabilities. Firstly, it can cut magic with its edges and reflect them when it's flat, as he did against Magna. In fact, Asta uses this ability again recently in chapter 289 when facing supreme rank devils Nama and Lilith. He reflected an entire magic ball that was capable of destroying an entire country. The Demon Slayer sword can also remove mental enchantment by tapping the person's head with the cross guard showcased in chapters 41, 54, and 100. Asta has also used an ability called Black Hurricane in chapter 122, where he can spin rapidly and is pulled towards magic spells. These spells are then dispelled by the swinging Demon Slayer sword that is coated in anti-magic. He can perform this spell with any of the swords. This spell is capable of nullifying an entire field of magic and magical traps in an instant. He used it against the supreme rank devils in chapter 288, where he undid their area of attack spells in an instant whilst in union mode, since his power was amplified. Asta has also used this power in chapter 243, where Dante sent multiple swords to attack him, but they were instantly destroyed. So this spell is an excellent defensive power that stops all magic directed at him. Even whilst this power is active, Asta can still activate offensive anti-magic spells like the Black Slash, which surprised Dante in those chapters, and he actually got scratched, right? Now, like I said before, that's just the basics. There is so much more to the Demon Slayer sword. We got almost 300 chapters worth of development this sword's been through. For starters, Asta has a powered up form called Black Asta, where he uses the nature of the anti-magic flowing in and out of his body, completing a complete circuit by laying both his hands on the sword. The way he figured out how to perform this transformation was detecting the key in his own body and figuring out the flow throughout his body using ki detection. This results in a major change in his appearance, giving him superior drip compared to the opponents. More importantly than drip, however, is the fact that his swords, no matter which he's using, all turn black and become even more drenched in anti-magic power, making them all even more dangerous. For example, Asta's Demon Slayer's sword has a spell called Black Divider. Asta unlocked the spell whilst facing Zagrid in chapter 208, and what it does in short is to make his sword ridiculously big using anti-magic to coat it. It becomes a really potent weapon which Asta managed to form thanks to the overflowing amounts of anti-magic since his resonance with Zagrid. This power is so destructive that Asta alone completely demolished a Candelo in half in one swipe. Asta combines this power with his union mode and other skills he has learned over time. What makes a mage effective on the battlefield is their experience. However, Asta's such an unnatural case, so they can't count on instinct when they're trying to defeat him, which levels the playing field to Asta's advantage. Alongside this, with his homing abilities coming with black mode, you get a magic magnet ready to slice up anything no matter the speed. We cannot forget that Asta also has an ability called Black Meteorite, where Asta can charge towards a target, dealing a powerful slash once they are in range, first used in chapter 97. In fact, any magic based attack that comes in contact with this spell is cut right through with no harm to Asta. He is even capable of changing direction whilst at this intense speed. The Demon Slayer's sword's utility doesn't stop there, as it also allows him to fly, as we see in chapter 232. Asta can fly because of potentially different reasons. The first one being the ability of the flat side of the sword. As we mentioned previously, Asta's sword can repel magic, so it's entirely possible the way it can flow is by repelling the mana in the air underneath the sword. Mana, after all, is everywhere in Black Clover, meaning he could ride the waves of mana like a surfboard. These swords can fly around on their own with the command of their master, as we see in both chapters 229 when Asta calls out to his swords like he is Thor or something, or in chapter 267 when Liebe uses the anti-magic swords to fight against Asta. And so using this principle, Asta was able to ride on his sword in the same state as it is when he calls for it, so the sword was just conveniently big enough to ride on.
Hello! I have returned to explain the Demon Dweller Sword! So first off, the sword used to belong to Licht, who is the elf tribe leader. Seeing as these swords were not part of his magic and are physical objects, it's safe to say that these swords were either specifically made for Licht, which would be strange considering the fact that the swords were implied to be used for slaying devils. However, 500 years ago, the existence of the devils in the overworld would be an anomaly. As Dorothy describes back in chapter 222, it makes more sense that the three swords were passed down in the elf tribe, considering that magic is hereditary and that Licht, being the tribe leader and having the affinity for sword magic, makes it all either really coincidental or specifically designed in that way. If you want to learn who created Asta's swords, Otto-sama did a thoroughly detailed video already being displayed to you right now. The link is also in the pinned comment for you to binge watch, and if you missed out on it, then that means you don't have the notification bell on, so please click that bell and don't miss out next time. Please smash the like button too, because it helps us out more than you would know, and I would really appreciate all the mana you share. So, for starters, unlike all the other swords, the Demon Dweller Sword wasn't bestowed upon our boy or anything, he just kinda found it. What?! That's right, in chapter 18, as well as episode 18, Asta was knocked into a wall and it was literally just sitting there, ready for him to pick up and use. But that's not something we need to worry about right now, because this sword has debatably the most potential out of any weapon in Asta's arsenal, besides, you know, the power to never give up. For instance, this sword is able to cut magic with its edges, just like the Demon Slayer, but it's also capable of absorbing people's magic power, as well as releasing that magic back, which is this sword's original ability. It works kinda like this, right? After the sword has absorbed a certain amount of magic power, the black symbols and stuff it's got on it begins to glow the color of whatever magic it absorbed. And then, when our buff boy Asta swings it around, the magic will come out as a slash. This sword can also absorb Asta's anti-magic, allowing him to shoot out anti-magic slashes at his enemies, effectively solving his long-range weakness. These slashes also pack quite a punch, being fully capable of slamming you into a wall and knocking you unconscious. If you're strong enough, like Asta is, you can swing a barrage of slashes at your opponents, potentially taking care of multiple enemies at once. One of the coolest abilities the sword has is the power to unite the wielder with their allies, basically meaning you can borrow power from your friends without having to be all polite about it like Goku, like, give me your energy guys, please, thank you. Yeah, no, none of that. You just raise the sword up and start taking what you need, as Lick did in episode 118, and the Demon Dweller can also transmit information and magic power in the same way. One of the things you can do that makes it so freaking epic, however, is that you can stab and impale an enemy with it, which, I mean, you could do that with any sword, but with this sword it's a little different, because it's freakishly heavy to those who have magic, as it drains your magic power, as well as your strength, as seen with Ladros in episode 62, where it was stuck inside him, and he couldn't remove it, because it was sucking him dry. Oh, what the heck? Who wrote that? Anyway, that's all I've got for you all today, so I'll pass the video back to Adel-sama. Seriously, we need to talk with our scripters.
The next sword on our list is the Demon Destroyer, introduced back in chapter 156. This sword is by far potentially the most broken one compared to the other swords that Asta wields, as the Demon Destroyer holds very unique properties. This sword can possibly allow Asta to carefully filter out magic, whilst also casting AoE area effect spells, which just makes Asta a more versatile mage, as it displays defensive capabilities for a team. This helps Asta become the ultimate warrior not mentioned in chapter 263. The Demon Destroyer's sword was introduced in the Eye of the Midnight Sun hideout, when it's discovered by its original owner Licht. The sword contains a Clover symbol engraved into it, unlike any other that we have seen. Now this could be a hint towards the swords being made for the elves as a gift to go up against devils from the past war the Heart Queen read about in the history books. Once the blade switches over into Asta's possession, it takes up a grim, dirt covered look much like the rest of his swords. This is an ability which is showcased once more during the fight between Asta and Yami vs Dante. Since Asta's final blow in chapter 259, this ability does raise the question if Asta can just make any weapon into anti-magic. Like, what's stopping Asta from getting an anti-magic gun?
What?
Now, although it would be great to see Asta to get a gun, pull up on everyone and go with anti-magic, right? But it does look like the grimoire gets to decide and is connected to Asta's soul, as Patry and Zygrid confirm that grimoire are predestined in some regard and they are chosen by them. Liebe does mention that the grimoire chose Asta by itself and that he had no control over it. But moving back to the Demon Destroyer's sword, the main ability of the sword, which is different from the rest, is the ability to sever the link between cause and effect. Not necessarily removing the cause of the spell, but rather eliminating the effect of it. And this is what I mean by filtering magic. This concept might be a bit hard to grasp for some of you, so let me give you an example. Let's take Damnatio's scale magic. He was able to scale down the magic of the Black Bulls by using the spell Scale Magic Scale Regulate. The spell is the cause, and the magic being scaled down is the effect of the spell. And using Asta's first true sword related spell called Fate Release, Asta severs the link between cause and effect, making it so that the effect ceases to be. You might be wondering, what is the difference between normal anti-magic, since Asta can already erase the spells? The difference is really simple. Anti-magic bluntly erases the magic. Severing the link means he can make spells ineffective by not even erasing them, which breaks down the spell. In casual combat, it allows Asta to perform spells that cater to defending a team like Fate Release. However, where the sword truly shines is when dealing with complex spells, where the linkages between the spell and its effects are far more complex. It just simply undoes all of it. This is exactly how he undoes Meducula's curse against Lolo in chapter 300 by erasing the effects of Meducula's experiments with the curse. But it does not mean he erased the curse in of itself, he just broke the complex link between the curse and the effects of it, which allowed Lolo to enter back into a human form from Devil and fall out of control of Medukula. This sword is the perfect counter to Medukula's curse-warding magic, since its entire purpose is to undo effects, which the main feature of curse-warding magic is. It is to grant different effects based on the curses, right? However, that's not all. Although very circumstantial, Asta did manage to communicate with Patri's soul as well, and many might wonder as to how a sword meant to sever the link between cause and effect is suddenly able to talk with souls, which is a special hidden ability within the Demon Destroyer's sword. It's the ability to absorb magic. Since Asta sucked out the Dark Elf transformation from Patri back in chapter 200, a spell that is linked with the soul by the way, Asta's sword absorbed the magic, basically having Patri's soul travel through the sword. And thanks to the Witch Queen, who states in chapter 97 that the anti-magic circulates throughout his entire body, Patri's soul was taken inside the body of Asta, which allowed for this temporary moment of communication. Although the effect was quite surprising in that case, we have no idea how absorbing different types of magic in different types of conditions would affect Asta. But he's basically able to absorb magic temporarily, which just goes to show the insane potential of the Demon Destroyer's sword. This ability is even strong enough to negate reincarnation magic seen in chapters 159 and 163. Quite recently in chapter 288, we saw Asta use the Demon Destroyer sword in Union mode against Nama and Lilith. This power was so OP that he could undo all their magic with the unique spell this sword has in an instant by just waving it around, fam. He left them confused, and this is when Asta used the Demon Slayer to kill one of them instantly whilst unguarded, which led to them fusing together. It's insane! Next up is the Demon Slasher Katana, which instantly became anti-magic when Yami passed it over to Asta against Dante in chapter 259. Asta possesses a devil arm, which at the time was radiating anti-magic. So this means if the intention is there by Asta and Liebe combined, the grimoire will enact their will to make any weapon they possess become anti-magic and part of the book. The process for the katana took way less than a second and changed its appearance to match the others. Now obviously we know Yami uses a katana, a type of sword from his homeland, the land of the rising sun. As such, he has to have the sword custom made in this continent. It is pretty clear that Yami's fighting style with the sword is kenjutsu, which is something Asta will learn since he has taken over the sword and will visit the land of the rising sun in a future arc. Kenjutsu is yet another of the popular martial arts that originated in Japan. It first appeared in the 15th century as a means of military training for the samurai class, but was soon incorporated into the ninja culture. However, the term Kenjutsu has expanded to include a variety of sword-based training, and there is some confusion as to what the difference is between Kenjutsu and Kendo. The objective of Kenjutsu is to learn how to kill or harm an opponent using a sword, whereas Kendo is used more of a personal development and discipline. Originating with the samurai class of Japan, it consists of actually battling with swords, and the main weapon used is the katana. In chapter 271, we saw the katana Asta possess is capable of releasing flying slashes over anti-magic just like the others. We can see that the slashes are much more swift and faster, as they actually graze knocked whilst the others didn't. Asta takes on a pose similar to Yami, and through his experiences he is emulating his fighting style to use the Demon Slasher katana correctly, right? In chapter 273, we clearly saw Asta using the Demon Slasher once he first achieved Devil Union with Liebe. In the chapter, the Union mode was just worn off, but we can see that the wall is completely sliced in half with the blade, an attack that seems to parallel Yami's Dark Cloak Dimension / Equinox. Asta even uses a similar pose to Yami once it was performed. Yami's version involves taking control of the surrounding mana. The user then performs a Dark Cloak Dimension / greatly extending the range and reach of the slash. Asta's version seems to do the same, but rather with anti-magic, since Asta's other spells called Black Slash is also inspired from Yami, so he could be enhancing this spell in union mode to perform an equinox level of damage. In fact, we know this is straight up death to anyone that gets hit by it, similar to Yami's version, because Nacht admits that Asta missed him on purpose, because if he landed it, Nacht would have died. This new slash from the katana is so overpowered that it didn't even need to land on Nacht to remove all his spells and his own union mode, because again, Asta is deleting all the anti-magic similar to how Yami absorbs the mana in the surrounding area and completely destroys it within the slash. It completely erased everything within its vicinity similar to his spell, and then Nacht declared him the strongest right there on the spot. This means that Asta will showcase this spell again during the finale of the Dark Triad arc. He will have to perform it to either save Yami and William's life as a parallel towards his training, ambition and affection he has for his captain. This spell will be strong enough to destroy Hell's Gate completely and the tree and the spell that Yami and William are on. This is all from a big distance. This will eventually lead into Asta having to learn a new fighting style at the land of the rising sun Yami is from, as opponents and samurai over there will truly be able to unlock his potential regarding the Bushido style. In fact, I think Tabata will showcase these new samurai opponents to be much more efficient in their striking and therefore defeat Asta in 1v1s. This is how the story would be able to naturally progress without breaking the power scaling system, and that Asta is still defeatable by people in the other continents, because right now he's so OP, he's Wizard King level already, and I've already done a video explaining why Asta is at that level. So if you want to check out that video, it will be in the pinned comment. Anyway guys, thank you for joining me as always. Please support us by smashing the like button, hit the notification bell because we cover Black Clover on a weekly basis, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.